Well, hello, everybody. Welcome and good morning. My name is Lisa Reichert. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Career and Professional Development Lead at UC Berkeley within the People and Organization Development team, and I am the NOW Conference co-chair, and I'm also your moderator for this session. I have the pleasure of welcoming everybody to Elevating Your Leadership and you're increasing your impact through inner work. And this session is presented by Dr. Miriam Gadiri and Letty Montana of UC Davis People and Organization Development, Organizational Excellence. I will be putting a link to the slide deck in the chat shortly. And also please note that this session is being recorded and will be posted on our NOW Conference website and YouTube channel for broader viewing access after the conference has concluded. This webinar kicks off NOW Week, which is 5 days of personal and career development planning for those at all stages of their careers. And for those attending the Coaching HQ activities, we look forward to getting to work with you during the one-on-one group coaching sessions held throughout the week. Please note that registration for webinars, group coaching, the group coaching sessions and the one-on-one sessions are closed, and you received invitations to your UC email account via NOW Coaching HQ at berkeley.edu. We know many of you will be joining us at 10 a.m. Pacific time this morning for the group coaching session that corresponds with today's webinar. So with that, I am delighted to introduce our presenters. Dr. Miriam Gadiri is a leadership coach, organizational development consultant, and storyteller. During her career, she gained experience as a director, manager, and consultant working in academic, nonprofit, and startup sectors. She partners with leaders, teams, and organizations to meet the needs of the organization by helping them optimize their leadership and work culture and even increase employee engagement using coaching, conducting assessments, and using evidence-based approaches. Miriam's experience in various countries enhances her comprehension of cultural diversity, fostering collaboration and engaging with both internal and external clients. And Letty Montana is an experienced leadership coach and organizational development strategist with 17 years of expertise across a variety of industries, including healthcare, financial services, biopharmaceuticals, tech, and management consulting. As a coach, she is recognized for her ability to guide her clients along their leadership journey while amplifying their voices, staying true to their values, and leading with authenticity. As a strategist, Letty focuses on building people-centric solutions that tackle gaps in organizational design, culture, skills, and capabilities. Let's give a warm welcome to Miriam and Letty.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We're going to just check that our slides can be presented. Miriam, let me know if you are, yeah, great, we're good to go. Awesome. So welcome everyone so much to today's session. We are so excited to have you here. We're going to be focusing today on doing some inner work and reflection around your leadership development journey. So on our agenda for today, if you wouldn't mind pivoting to the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit more about what leadership is, how we define it, how it's evolved over time. We'll do an exercise around your leadership journey and talk about how that aligns with your values. And then this will all be really helpful information that you take with you into the group coaching session, which we have immediately following this. So with that, I'll kick it over to Miriam.
Good morning, everyone. It's Monday morning, California time, and we want you to have your tea, coffee beside you. And also, if you have your notebook, pen or pencil would be great because you are going to do some reflection and inner work. And I love colorful pen or pencil, so it helps you to have some fun with the activities. So we want to start with actually a question that is in poll everywhere. If you could either actually take your cell phone and answer a question that we have. Unfortunately, I cannot share the link in the chat because it doesn't work in this setting that we have. So I would appreciate if you use your cell phone and respond to this question. When you think about leadership, what words come to mind? Add word, multiple words. You can have even multiple answers as well. Feel free to use your cell phone to scan this QR code. The questions are coming. I just wait for a couple of more seconds. Just sometimes our cell phones are not handy. I see that 9 responses so far. Thank you everyone for pitching in, and let's see the responses. The responses are coming. Decision maker, charismatic, compassion, confident, trust, empathy. I'm just reading the one that they are the bigger in size. It shows that more people are adding those words. Trust, thinking, again, decision, strength, views, compassion, empathy. Those are, and as I see these words that I'm seeing are, many of them, they have positive connotations. And our words are very important. Sometimes our words again have positive connotations. Sometimes they don't have positive connotation. And also it reflects like some of the belief that we are carrying, some of the way of thinking we are carrying. We are always seeing leaders around us. There are many people who are leading projects, and some of those leaders are very impactful, are very effective. And the reason they are effective because they are thinking about the long-term development of their employee, of their team. They have social skills that engage and encourage people to achieve their best in their individual process of improvement as well as professional. Leaders, they really care about who they are working with, and they tap into individual motivation. It's not only the person or the employee or employees, they get to their goal, but also the organization evolve as well to get to the wide goal of the organization. There are leaders who deliver, and there are leaders who unfortunately they destroy, and you can see that they are characteristic. They are certain qualities, and originally we came a long way this in the history of our work, our industry. Organization used to be very industrial. And that made it very easy, right? That certain tasks need to be done. But now we are living in a world that it is very complex, and we need leadership to be elevated. There's a theory called Theory X that managers believe their employees lack creativity and only work for paycheck, basically. And there's another theory that says it's called Theory Y, which is a very simple name. And managers believe employees want to work and make decisions with less supervision, and their voice are welcoming into the decision making. So as you can see the characteristic between the two type of leader, you can see that how the teams are being honored, the perspective is being honored, the credit goes to the team in the way that leaders could deliver, and the other way that the leaders, they lose the impact. It become about themselves. They take the credit. They want to blame others. And also there are some process of withholding information. So you can see that transparency is a big part of it, trust, transparency. Leaders are so important, and one of the reasons they are very important because they are the high of the pyramid, and they create culture, and the culture impact every single person who work at the team or who come across the team. And you can see that in a healthy culture, employees feel heard and appreciated. People are treated with trust and respect. These are some of the words that you used as well in the check-in slide for the icebreaker. everyone feels safe to be authentic. They communicate openly, and team member or people's growing and advancing in career matters. So these are all the way, again, a leader can create culture. And I also want to say that leadership is an evolution. It doesn't happen overnight. Many impactful leaders, they learned a lot from their past experiences, some of the failure they had, some of the success they have. So I just want to say, like, it is, again, it is a process to become, a process of becoming an impactful leader. And I pass it to Letty.
Thank you so much, Miriam. So Miriam teed up so nicely this concept and process of becoming. And what we want to do is take you through an exercise where we're going to do some reflection and get you to think deeper about what's been my process of becoming and what's been the things and the events that have shaped how I see leadership and what does my lens look like. So you may be a leader in your organization, in your community, in your family. Leadership can really have a broad context in terms of where you are displaying leadership. So you're a primary contributor to your own development as a leader, yet you're shaped by the circumstances, ideas, and individuals who have impacted and influenced your life. Awareness of this co-creation process between you and the world around you contributes to clarity around your identity as a leader. So think about it like this. Your personal history contains the seeds of who you are as a leader, and leaders that take time to recall, appreciate, and gather strength from that history can really be impactful in terms of their growth and their becoming and their development over time. So this personal mapping exercise gives you a chance to reflect on the events, experiences, and influences that have shaped you. So as Miriam mentioned in the beginning, we ask that you have hopefully a paper and a pen, maybe some crayons or colored markers at your disposal. And we're going to have you actually draw this leadership journey. Think about it in terms of peaks and valleys. In this example, you can see the events that have shaped my career. And these are just different things that, were high points or low points. And I, kind of wrote here how they affected me and how they impacted me. So some places to look: cultural themes, ancestral stories or themes, family of origin experiences, historical experiences, people of influences. This can be both personal and professional, but I'd like for you to take about 5 minutes or so and draw out this map for yourself. And I'll keep time on my end, but let's go ahead and take some time to draw this out. And if you have any questions, please put those in the Q&A and they can roll those up to us. So let's take it till about 9:20 to draw that out.
So Miriam and Letty, we do have a few questions that have come in. So I'm going to go through some of these. The first question is, if you are not growing or having moved jobs or careers in more than 5 years, where are you in the ebb and flow?
Yeah, I think that depends, and Miriam, feel free to jump in with your perspective on how you see that experience. If that is something exciting for you, you like stability, you like consistency, that may be a peak for you, right? That stability may be a peak. If you're someone that likes moving up in an organization or having lots of new experiences, that might be a valley for you. So it's really dependent on how you're viewing that in your and in the context of your career and leadership journey. Thanks for that question.
Thank you so much, Letty. I also want to add, like, sometimes we have in our career, we have this breadth of experiences. We have like multiple experiences that we keep adding to our CV. And sometimes we have this depth of experience. And again, it depends like what brings you fulfillment. And if that depth, you need that depth, probably you stay longer, you practice those skills. If you need breadth, you again take a different professional development while you're at the same job as well. So I just want to say that being at the same job could be fulfilling because you are growing while you have the same role. And at the same time, again, you could feel like I'm stuck because I'm not going forward. So it totally depends on your perspective and how your journey of growth is happening while you're at that job.
Great, thank you, Miriam and Letty. And let's see, we had a share that came in, and Allison shared that some of us learn most with failures, which is a hard way to learn. I recently heard the saying, we are either winners or learners, which makes failing part of the process.
I love that. I know there's this phrase called fail forward. I don't even like to think about it as failure. I like to think about it as character development. If your life was a story, this is just a plot twist, right? And this is something that's going to help you develop, as the character in the story of your life. And so again, all of these things come back to perspective and how you look at it and how you frame and reframe it. But I really love that frame.
Great, thanks, Letty. Those are all the questions and comments for now. And if more come in, I will let you know.
Thanks so much, Lisa. So thanks everyone for taking the time to draw and map this out. I'm going to give you a couple more moments for some reflection as you look at your leadership journey. And so these are some questions that I'd love for you to take a couple minutes to reflect on, write down some of what surfaces for you. And then immediately following this, we're going into a group coaching session. And so you're going to take these reflections into that session. So 3 questions I'd love for you to reflect on are: what themes stand out in your journey? What new insights are you having as you reflect back on your journey as a whole? And then what strengths have you relied on during your journey? So if you can, just take a picture of this, take a couple moments to reflect on some of what surfaces, and we'll have you take this into group coaching next.
And we do have another question. With leadership evolving in the last couple of years, how do you make those changes from the old mentality or format of what a manager is supposed to do? In the past, having the experience was the biggest driver to getting such a role.
Yeah, I'll let Miriam share first. I have a perspective, but I'd love to hear from Miriam first.
That is a very good question. I feel like we are living in a world that leadership is evolving so much. And the old mentality put a lot of pressure on a leader to be the decision maker, to know everything, to have the solution. And I feel like if you bring a bit of a coaching mindset to bring your team in, trusting their expertise, trusting their fact that they can pitch in for decision making, that is a huge part. And again, we are in this together in the process of getting to the destination, achieving goal, and even defining some goal. Let's co-define it. I feel the more we invite our team to be part of this journey. That is a huge part. The second one is we want to know there used to be this deficit model of who is not doing enough. And now we are going to a strength model, that what a strength and quality each person in a team is bringing. And this diversity of a strength, ability makes a team very, very impactful. So again, knowing the strength of the team, bringing them forward, reminding them, acknowledging those strengths has been a huge part of, again, building a team, because to get to a destination, you need a strong team. To have a strong team, you need an impactful leader. So it is in our job to learn all these elements that bring quality to leadership. And I'm pretty sure that if you want to add anything, I would love to hear.
Yeah, so just to kind of acknowledge some of the ways in which work has evolved and changed, we think about kind of the assembly line, right? And things were very simple task and very simple type of work. And what was a lot which was happening during the Industrial Revolution, that's really evolved, and we're solving much more complex problems. Organizations are moving and changing really quickly and reorganizing and redesigning really quickly. And so the way that we work has really changed and evolved from a dependency on hierarchical leadership to really a focus on teams and collaboration and harnessing the diversity that's on the team and getting the best ideas, because the problems we're solving now are so much more complex. So with that, how do you evolve as a leader? I am a firm believer, I'm probably a little bit biased because I'm a coach and Miriam's a coach, but coaching is a wonderful way to remove some of those internal that might be getting in your way from evolving to a leader that can really harness the power of the collective team. And so I'm a firm believer, in addition to upskilling through courses and classes, think about coaching in your leadership journey. That can be a way to really remove a lot of those internal obstacles, practice behaviors that are going to help elevate you as a leader and help really open up possibilities that are going to help you thrive in today's modern workforce. Thank you. Since we've had some time to reflect, any more questions, Lisa, that you want to hit on before I invite Miriam to move on?
Yes, Letty, we did have one more question. Somebody shared that I feel I got stuck in a position because of our leader. What is the best way to get out of it? I accepted a horizontal move to get out of the situation.
Yeah, it's hard to answer that without knowing full detail, but the way that I like to think about it is, and Miriam's actually going to hit on this next, so it'll be a really nice tee up, is thinking about your values and what your boundaries are as an individual in your development. And so what are the things that you're willing to flex on and you're not willing to flex on, and what things are important to you? And I think once you have a sense of what your values are and boundaries are as an individual, navigating your career becomes a bit easier. And so while you might be in a situation where maybe it's not a fit between you and the leader, or you've tried to manage up and that's not working, I always kind of advise try to do everything you can to manage up and create a really productive relationship with your manager. And that if that doesn't work, then thinking about your values and boundaries, explore what else is possible and being open to other possibilities, whether that's internal or external. If you would add to that, Miriam.
Came up for me is I agree with you what you share, Letty. I feel like one of the missing chain in my journey of like this leadership journey is really reflecting on what I want, like identifying the elements that bring me value and the environment, the culture, because most of the time it's we know in our personal life or professional life what are the things that doesn't work and I don't want. And I feel like reflecting on the reverse, what I want, what do I deserve to have, what that helps a lot, because then you can map out, can I create that, can I have that in the current environment, or I need to find a different place that hosts me with all the ability, all the quality, all I want to bring. So I feel like, again, going inward and identifying what you want and what serves you the best and where you can provide your service is a huge part of this journey, because it's totally fine if you're not in a place that you like now. It shows you what you don't want, so reflect on what you want. And again, the evolution happens over time. See where is a better fit for you. Okay, shall I go forward? Okay, let's build on the journey that we are building. And please drop questions. I love these questions. I really, it makes me think. And I really like those, the way that you are posing them. So in this stage, we're gonna align the values with the leadership. But I wanna just explain that why values matter. When you understand your values, you have a North Star. And when we talk about elevating leadership, having more impactful presence, to be honest, there's no instruction outside to follow it. That would be very easy, right? Instruction, do ABC, and bam, you have an impact. It's a lot of understanding, going inward, and also finding out who you are and what value you want to bring, and from which lens you are looking at the world. So this way you become an authentic person. You become an authentic leader, that their behavior align with value. And if there's a misalignment between our stated value and the belief and the way that we are behaving, it impacts our leadership. It takes a lot of autonomy out of the conversation, or transparency out of the communication we are building. So the more we become authentic version of ourselves and this alignment happen, the more we build trust with people who work with us. And successful leaders, they purposefully set aside time to reflect and pressure test the alignment between their values and practice, because they want to navigate challenging situation. That's one of the reasons, actually, again, um, I'm biased because I'm a leadership coach, and at the same time we coach leaders because they want to see those aspects of themselves that they don't see it clearly. They want to go deeper. They want to find out what are some of the limiting belief that is not serving them. What are the way that they can help their team to empower their team. So those are, again, all the way that a leader can get help and reflect. And I know that we have some coaching here happening in Now Conference, so please use those opportunity and go deeper in your journey of leadership. And I want you to add to your masterpiece that you started from this morning, and you already mapped out your evolution or your journey of leadership. And I want you, in each peak and valley, reflect on basically what was some of the underlying values. Most of the time when we are at the peak in our career journey, um, things are aligned with our values. So we are just, that makes us feel fulfilled, happy, joyous. And in the valley, sometimes we are not aligned with the value. That is like why we are struggling, or we learn a new value about ourselves. For example, if you are struggling here, we have like resilience came up, like in two of the challenging moment or the valleys we had resilience. So I want you to take some time, and I want to just again show, if I myself, I'm a visual person more than auditorial, just if this instruction help you to see it. So again, check the peak and valley of your leadership journey. In each peak, write down what elements were present that gave meaning to your work. And also in each valley, write down what values were present or missing. And then we'll find something. And there are many words that we can use. And sometimes having access to this chart would help you to have some of those words. So I want to just check the time. Maybe we can take a couple of minutes to add to our drawing and see what we learned from our journey so far. And again, you'll use this information in an awesome session coming after our session, which is a group coaching. And you'll go deeper and have discussion with your partners. Again, feel free to use some of the words in this chart. Sometimes it's helpful to have more words. Okay, maybe a couple of more seconds. Again, each peak and valley of our life, we have a lesson learned that we want to reflect on that. What are the elements brought us joy, brought us fulfillment, made us feel impactful? And I want to also reflect on the question we had that if someone is staying at at the same job, and reflecting on the current job, what are the elements that bring you joy? What are the elements that you feel fulfilled? What are the elements that take energy away from you? You don't feel like energized. You don't feel that you are impactful. Those are even like you can make a mini version for your current job as well. I just want to say like there are different ways that you can use this method to reflect. We are using a kind of a bigger scale of your professional life, and you can again make it smaller episodes of your life. For interest of time, I'll go forward, and so I want to just wrap up what we did so far. We had this journey that you mapped out, and then on top of the journey, you connected that with the values that you identify with the themes that came up. And we want you to reflect on these two questions. And again, if you put it in the main chat, I think Lisa can read for us some of them. And feel free also to drop any question you have. So we want you to reflect in your current leadership role. how your beliefs and behavior are aligned with your values. And again, it's totally fine if you're like, I don't think it's aligned. I don't know if I still need to work on it. That's totally fine. This awareness is huge. And also, according to what you learned today about your leadership journey and values, what can you do to level up your leadership? And the solution, again, is always inside you because you know yourself better and you know what brings you joy, fulfillment, and what the word impact or being impact will mean to you. So again, I give you a couple of minutes as well. Feel free to add in the chat so Lisa can read some of those responses to us. And if there's any question, please also add. We have, I think, good amount of time for to address the questions.
Okay, Miriam and Letty, we do have a question. Can you be a leader in a non-management role?
It's a very good question. I feel like, again, it goes back, how do you define leader and leadership? I feel like the way that we show up every day, we are leading a project, we are leading a group, we are like leading a part of a project. Yes, for me, I feel like you can, because there's always task goals that we are leading as individual. We are bringing team together, collaborating. And also, if you have a different definition of leadership, I want you to reflect that what makes you not feel like a leader in that role? What do you need to feel like a leader? I'm gonna pass it to Letty.
Yeah, I would just to build off of that, in addition to your role within your organization, you can also be a leader within your community, within your household environment, amongst your friend group. I would say that as an oldest of a big Latino family, I was a leader long before I had the title of managing people. I was mentoring people. I was, managing things within the context of my family. And so there are lots of different ways that leadership can show up long before you have the formal title. Thanks for that question.
That's very good. Thank you, Letty.
We have another comment. I think my beliefs and behaviors are aligned with my values when I think about how I manage my own team of 2 staff. I try to infuse my values of trust, transparency, communication, and authenticity into the team I have control over. However, I don't feel there's alignment if I think of my values and the greater unit's values under the current leadership.
To be honest, that is very common. I always look at like leadership is like a pyramid, and this pyramid can be within a bigger pyramid. So sometimes, despite that we do all our best in our pyramid, we have the control over how the leadership works. And then there are limitations because of this misalignment. And this, again, very great observation, because this is common, and this is one of the pain points of a system, because we always need to look at it from, again, from systemic perspective, that how we have all this ecosystem within ecosystem, or microclimate within the bigger ecosystem.
Yeah, just to echo what Miriam shared, I do think that's common. I think the question to think about for yourself is, can I live with that? Right? So where is there alignment and where might there be misalignment? And where there's misalignment, are those things that are deal breakers for you? Are those things that you can maybe explore for some commonality or for some common ground? There may not ever be a perfect 100% values alignment or culture fit with you and a broader organization, but thinking about like, do they have most of what's important to me? Can I still be happy here? Can I still find joy here? And the things that are maybe misaligned, are these things that I can live with? Are these things that maybe I can adjust around or work around to find something that's a better fit? And so I think this is a common challenge for folks, but thinking about where is there opportunity that you have control over to create better alignment, and where might you be able to flex or explore some other areas of commonality.
Great, thank you, Letty and Miriam. And we do have another question or a request here. Could you provide tangible examples of leveling up your leadership? It would be helpful to hear positive stories or experiences in this area.
Yeah, we love the stories. Stories are very, very meaningful. Very good question. And again, we always need good stories because it helps us to expand. Thank you, whoever asked this question. Very good question. What came up for me was like one of the uh, biggest lesson learned for me was when I became a director of education and research in a nonprofit with environmental education focus. And I had a team of 4. And my job was like basically they had like this 15 years of curriculum that was built and designed, and it was an old curriculum, so we needed to redesign the whole thing, plus writing all these new grants. And the very first couple of weeks, I identified that the team members are they don't trust their ability because they want me to tell them every single detail of what they to do. They want to get acknowledgement for every single step. They don't talk to each other. And also, there is this power dynamic. When I was entering to the room, there was just this huge silence. So there was like, I feel like there is a huge amount of mistrust that was already there. And again, I inherit this team. So that was a time that I was like, I want to get to the goal and the objectives that the executive director defined for me, but I want to get to that goal with a team that is functional and impactful. So that was a time that like I started studying about leadership coaching, again connecting with my mentors who I really like their work. I really have seen how impactful is their work, and learning from them and getting feedback from them. So a couple of things that I did that helped my team to shine and we get to the destination again together was, one, sitting with them and getting to know them one by one and hearing about what they study, how they want to bring value to the current work, what part of the work is exciting, where do they see themselves in 3 years, how can I help them to get there? Is it professional development? Is it a conference they want to go? Is it something they want to publish? The second thing was, again, relying on their strength, having some assessment so they see that they have a strength, and they reflected on how this strength is showing up on their daily work, on the, again, task that is assigned to them. And then we as a team sat together and we defined our values, our vision, and the mission we had for our education department. And that again brought us all of us in the same page. And I can say that took time because it was not an overnight thing. That took time, but the foundation that we built together and the transparency of the communication made the team to be amazing. I'm always like that when I reflect back in my leadership journey. I feel like that was one of the points that I learned about how a leader, I could micromanage them again. I would say, you do this, you do that, this. But like then I was just stepping back and they were designing, being creative, bringing their own expertise. And again, what elements I used, definitely studying, definitely I got coaching, and also I got mentorship. These 3 helped me. Again, each one of us could be different and different element could impact our leadership and kind of help us level up our leadership. But for me, I relied in these three elements. And also I got a lot of feedback from my staff. I was like, how can I do better? What are the things that is missing? And because we build this foundation of trust, I felt like communication was quite transparent and honest. So sometimes the feedback I was getting would just help me a lot to see what I'm not seeing. So that was like a story that came up for me. And I want to see, Letty, what the story came up for you.
Yeah, when I think about leveling up leadership, what comes to mind for me is what is the internal obstacle that's getting in the way of you performing at the level that you should be? And one of the things that I see a lot with coaching clients is when they're moving from an individual contributor to a leader of a team. And one of the areas that is like one of the most common pitfalls is around delegation. How do you delegate to people? And I remember working with this leader who was taking over a wide community organization, and she had to do everything herself, and she was the kindest person. Everyone actually really adored and respected her, but she was clearly very burnt out. People were like, she never asked for help and she's doing it all herself, and we want to help her but she won't let us. And as I was working with this client and digging deeper, what I learned is that she really had this underlying belief that she had to be the savior. She had to be the martyr. She had to be the one to fix it. That was her role. And this had come from, some family of origin stuff. And this is a belief that she had. And so we really had that underlying belief, because that underlying belief was actually an obstacle for her in her leadership development journey. And so, one of the things that I always like to think about is when you're struggling with learning something new that you need to learn for that next level of leadership, what's the story behind that? What's the narrative that you tell yourself? And is that still true? And is that still serving you? And so that's kind of when I think about leveling up. I think about like what's getting in the way, where are we getting stuck, and why? And what's the belief that we have around that? So that's an example that comes to mind when I think about leveling up leadership.
Thanks for those great examples. And we have one other question. How do you manage a team where all of the work seems to need to funnel through the manager before it gets done? It is not this way by design, but rather by team behavior. This causes bottlenecks. They don't check step-by-step work, but they don't communicate and run projects self-sufficiently.
Yeah, so it's hard to answer without a full detail, but it sounds like I'm not sure if this is a manager preference or if this is the way the team has operated, and there's some maybe artifacts and ways of working that is making them continue to operate this way. I think this might be an opportunity for, a pause. Maybe you're the current manager of this team and you're taking over and you notice this is how they're working, to see and explore other ways of working. And I agree with you that this isn't a way of working that will be scalable in the long term. And it won't be something that you can probably run efficiently indefinitely. So this might be a wonderful time to pause, check in with the team, and have an open conversation around ways of working. How are we making decisions? What are you accountable for versus what I'm accountable for? And how can we potentially experiment with something different that might allow the team to scale and be more efficient in the future? And so I think with things is like having an open conversation, having feedback is where I tend to lean and try to go first as a leader, but getting it out in the open and talking about it and naming it and discussing other possibilities would be something that I would think about in terms of an approach if I was managing this team. Miriam?
I really like your approach, and that was very in line with what I was thinking. First of all, I wanted to the fact that you diagnose that's excellent. Awareness of what is not working is excellent. Sometimes we are like, we just go and we are like, we don't know what is working or not. And definitely having this reflection time. Sometimes, sometimes if we don't know how people are seeing leadership, or how they think that the service they are doing, it's helping. And having a conversation about, okay, let's reflect what is working and what are the opportunities that we can level up something to work better. So I think having that would be great. And even if you are not the person to have that conversation, just suggesting that can we have that conversation, and inviting people in to be part of that conversation. And I'm pretty sure that there will be other opportunities in addition to this one that you can work on as a team. And also this way, instead of, again, you are not pointing at the problem, you are also collectively trying to find a solution, create a possibility that creates a buy-in. Whoever is part of the conversation, they're like, okay, we wanna be part of the solution. So definitely, as Lady said, communication, transparent communication, and inviting people to bring in their ideas.
Well, great. Thank you, Miriam and Letty. Those are all the questions that we have.
Beautiful. I think, Miriam, was there, I think this just makes wonderful. So just want to express gratitude for everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. There is a session feedback link that Lisa just graciously dropped in the chat. I also dropped it on Miriam and I's LinkedIn if you want to connect with us on LinkedIn. But thank you so much for your attention and engagement in today's session. And we look forward to you learning and diving a little bit deeper in the group coaching session. I know we've hyped up coaching a lot today in our session. We're a little bit biased, as we've mentioned, but you'll get a taste of that in the next session. So I really encourage you to attend that and to take your learning even deeper.
Well, thank you so much, Miriam and Letty, for this really thought-provoking presentation and your examples and addressing everybody's questions. And everybody, please remember to complete the session evaluation. As Miriam and Letty shared, it's in the chat, as well as their invitation to connect on LinkedIn. And your feedback is really important in helping us know what worked well, what could work better, and to help us plan for future conferences and sessions. Next up is the group coaching session at 10 o'clock, which will be a debrief of this session and a space for small groups to discuss the learnings from today's webinar. So again, remember, those who registered will have already received an invitation with the virtual meeting login details. For those who registered, please head over there right now. Check your UC email address for your appointment invitation, which includes your companion guide, coach name, and Zoom login information. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy. Have a great NAL conference the rest of the week. And this was a great way to kick off now. Again, thank you, Miriam and Letty. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.